Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be filming a review tutorial, first impressions on the new-ish Colourpop brushes. I got the entire brush roll to review for you guys today. I'm going to be getting ready, just chatting a little bit, and then slowly into the video I'll start talking about the brushes. I didn't get to use 3 brushes though, but I'll talk about it and I'll tell you guys what I'm liking, what I'm not liking about everything. So if you guys are curious about my thoughts on the brushes, if you're curious about this makeup look, then just continue watching. So I'm first going to start off with some primer. This one is from Colourpop. It's the Pretty Fresh Hydrating Hyaluronic Acid Primer. I am almost out. I probably need to buy a backup of this. As you can kind of see, my skin has not been doing really well recently. I honestly don't know why. Do I know why? I noticed that I'm getting my period soon. I don't know if that's too TMI, but everyone gets periods, so it's not a big deal. As I'm growing older, I'm getting a lot more breakouts around my period time. I don't really know if that's the case. I just noticed that when I got my last period, when I just got it, I did break out a little bit. So I don't know if it's like me growing up and my body's changing. I'm then moving into foundation using the Urban Decay All Nighter foundation in the shade 4.0. I have barely any product left. Like, I am just saving this foundation. I'm probably gonna go buy a new one just because it's my favorite foundation ever. I might get a lighter shade. I feel like this one's a little bit too dark, even if I got a very slight tan this summer. And I'll be using my Colourpop makeup sponge. This is one of my favorites. I need to buy a backup of this as well. Okay, I need to make a mental note of backups I need to get. I'm so sad, you guys. I slept through my alarm this morning and I missed out on the new Luxe glosses, and there was also a 30% sale on that as well, and obviously it sold out. It releases at 7 AM my time, and I typically wake up around 9 o'clock. I heard my alarm go off and I turned it off, but I forgot the reason why I set that alarm, which is like so dumb of me. But yeah, I slept through it. I woke up at 9, it was sold out, so I'm hoping Colourpop will send it to me, but if not, I'll just have to wait for it to restock again. I also like to take what's left on my hand so I'm not wasting any product, and I'm gonna use my finger and really press that over my blemishes. I feel like using your finger is going to give you a lot more coverage than using a sponge. I think a sponge, because it's wet, is taking a lot of the coverage away. Now moving into concealer, this is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer in the shade Almond. Just gonna use that right underneath my under eyes. But how have you guys been? I feel like it's been a while since I've done an actual tutorial, like just talking to the camera while I'm doing my makeup. It's been a while because I feel like I've been just trying to catch up with my Colourpop videos and just like smashing out a lot of 3 looks 1 palette, and typically in those videos I don't talk while I do my makeup. And I also do feel like I am catching up with Colourpop. I think I have like 3 more palettes to do, and then I'm like up to date as of today. Today's Valentine's Day, by the way. I think 3 palettes. If I get the glosses, review that, then I'm like literally up to date with Colourpop, but that will take me probably another month to do those 3 palettes. And in a month, Colourpop will definitely release more things. So I mean, right now I feel good about it, but who knows, I might fall behind again, but slowly but surely, right? I'm trying my best. Now I'm going into the RCMA No Color Powder. I actually finished my Too Faced Born This Way powder, the one that I always use. I also need to get a backup of that. I'm just going through all of my makeup guides and it feels so good. For the main purpose of the video, we are reviewing the Colourpop brush set that launched ages ago. But I want to put powder on, and I think I can use this brush. This one is called F18, the large face brush. It is super soft. It's kind of like pushed in a little bit, so I think that would be good for bronzer as well, so I might use it for both. Why not? But I'm going to use my NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat Powder Foundation in the shade Soft Beige. How good does that feel to hit pan? Oh, it feels great. By the way, I love the handle of these brushes. It's so pretty. I feel like as a powder brush, it does feel a little bit spiky, if I'm like pressing it into my skin. So maybe as bronzer that will feel a bit better. So before we move on, I want to show you guys a little trick that I do with my eyes. So I don't know if you guys could tell, but this eye, I think at the start of the video it was a double lid, but now it has drooped down. Like sometimes when I look up, you can see there's another lid, like a second lid, but it's pretty much a mono lid right now, or a single lid. I don't know what you call it, but it's uneven, right? This one is a lot bigger. But what I have been doing, I've been using eyelid tape, because typically when I film, I do one eye first and then I'll move into this eye, and this is the eye that you see me doing most. So what I'm gonna do as I do my brows, I'm going to just take the tape. This one is a double-sided tape. I'm just gonna take some of the tackiness off. So I just put the eyelid tape in and I pushed my lid into place so it could be a double lid, and I'm gonna leave it like that for now, and we're gonna take it off once we start doing our eyes. But I just thought I would show you guys that quickly because that's what I've been doing recently with my eyes and it's been working for me so far. I'm just going to knock on wood because anytime I recommend something to you guys on camera, I upload the video, that technique stops working for me, okay? I don't know what it is, but I'm hoping this does not stop working because I'm out of ideas to fix this eyelid, okay? Before, what I would do is I would put the eyelid tape as I go to sleep, and what I realized is that when I wake up, my lid is just a mono lid because I think the way I sleep, it's not really pushing the lid up. I think you have to be awake to put this on. But now I'm gonna move into my brows. I'm using the NYX Professional Makeup Micro Brow Pencil in the shade Black and my Anastasia Brow Duo in the shade Dark Brown. I'm just going to kind of speed through this part. I don't think I'll be using any of these brushes for my brows. I might use one of them to clean up my brows. I'm just gonna quickly take the E6 brush, which is just an angled brush, taking a little bit of concealer on that. I'm gonna use this to just help clean out my brows. Alright, so now that we have our brows on, this is where the review is going to finally start. But before we get started with the eye makeup and the eye brushes, I want to give you guys some product info before we get started and before I take my eyelid tape off. So this entire brush set is $44 US. You get 14 brushes, and if you do the math, it's about $3.14 for each brush, which I think is a really great deal for what you're getting. You also get this brush roll as well, and this is a faux leather brush roll, and this is included within the $44. There are 11 new brushes, 3 of them are already existing. So the first existing brush is the E4 brush, and this is called Medium Shader. We also have E3, which is the small shader, and then E6, which is the angled brush, which is the brush that I use to clean up my brows. I do use the small shader a lot, so I'm glad that I have another one. I do use the medium shader, but not as much as the small shaders. I honestly don't mind having another one of these because they are quite useful. For the angled brush, I probably could have done with a different brush, but I don't mind it being in here. I think if you're a beginner, having an angled brush is important in a brush rolls. And all of these brushes are 100% vegan and cruelty free, and all of these brush heads are synthetic here. But I'm going to take off this eyelid tape now, and you can see my eyes are double, and it's going to hold up like this probably for the whole day. Just for that like 10-15 minutes that I did, it's going to be there. But I'm just going to take a cotton bud with some makeup remover on it and just go over my lid space. Because of the eyelid tape, it's quite sticky. It's going to leave some sticky residue. So I'm just going to take that off so it doesn't interfere with my eyeshadow application. So the eyeshadow palette that I'm going to use for today's eye look is Nude Mood. I want to play around with this palette a little bit more. So it's going to be the palette of choice for today. The first brush I'm going to go into is this one. This is the E15, and this is the deluxe blending brush. You guys know I always use the tapered blending brush. It's quite similar, I would say. This one feels actually a lot softer, or maybe it's because it's new, I don't know. But this one does look a little bit more fluffy and more wide, but I would say for the most part they look quite similar. I'm gonna go into the shade All Natural here and let's work that into our crease. It feels really soft against my eyes, like very soft, very gentle as well. I'm using the same amount of pressure that I would do normally, but this brush just feels very gentle on the eyes, which is always a good thing because the skin around your eyes is very sensitive. Nice to just really smoke out and diffuse a product. The next brush I'm going into is the E18, and this is the small dome brush. So it's pretty much like a shader brush, but it's more pointed. I like to use these kind of brushes for my lower lash line. This one is also not very dense at all. It feels quite sparse, so I feel like the eyeshadow is not pigmented on the first go. Typically, I would use a brush like this. This one is the Sigma E55. It's actually quite dense, so it really just packs on the color of my lower lash. And now taking the E16, this is the large tapered blending brush. This is called the tapered blending brush, the one that I always use. I'm not sure of the number, but this one looks bigger than this one. So I don't know. And I feel like this one's a little bit more squeezed in. You can see the tapered blending brush is just circular all around, but if you put this to the side, it's like a bit pinched in. I don't know, maybe the names don't really have much to do with anything, but I'm just gonna go into the shade The Cocoa here, and I'm gonna use this brush to focus that at the outer corners of my eyes. So this one's actually more dense. You can see the pigmentation is a lot more pigmented. So this one's more of like a packing brush. So typically when I am doing this specific step in my eye look, I would be using the Morphe M433. You can see the difference between the two. This one's a lot more circular, more fluffy. This one is a little bit more pinched in. It's a little bit harder to blend the edges out. So I think for this kind of brush, it's nice to really pack on the shade. So if you're gonna do your smoky eye, I think this would be really nice to pack on the lid space. So the E16 reminds me of the Sigma E25. The shape of it is quite similar. When you turn it to the side, they're both pinched in and flat, so it's good to pack on the eyes. This would be a nice dupe for the E25 from Sigma. I'm actually gonna go ahead and take the E4 brush, which is the medium shader brush, and I'm taking the Cocoa just on the tip of it, and I'm gonna press this at the outer third of my eyes. I think typically people would not use their brush like this, but I actually really like using brushes like these for my lower lash line because I feel like it really presses the product up in there. Most people would use this for like metallic shadows, for concealer. Honestly, use your brushes how you like as long as it works for you. Now using the E19, this is the Precision Blending Brush. I feel like I'm really gonna like this one. It just looks like a very baby version of the blending brush here. And typically for the step that I'm about to do with this brush, I would be using the Morphe M506. Quite similar. I would say this one's a little bit more domed and round. This one's a little bit straight up and then it domes. And I'll be taking the shade Moody down here. And again, focusing that at the outer third of my eyes. Because this one is a little bit more stiff, like it just shoots straight up. It's not really domed or fluffy. It's a little bit harder to blend out. I think again, this would be nice to pack on a shade on your lid for a smoky eye. And then I'm using this little tiny brush. This is the E20. It's the micro shader brush. I think this is such a nice brush to have. It's so tiny, so small, great again for precision work. I love this one. Okay, I think this might be like one of my favorite brushes in this whole set. Now I'm just going in with the E3 brush, which is the small shader brush. I'm gonna use this wet. And I'm gonna pick up the shade Wink Wink. This is actually a super shock shadow, so I'm just gonna apply that at the inner third of my lids. Now I am just taking my Colourpop BFF liquid liner in the shade Grande. I'm gonna use this to line my lash line and give myself a wing. I'm actually just gonna go back into the E6 brush, which is the angled brush. I know I used this for concealer, but it's fine. I'm gonna take Moody and I'm gonna use this to kind of smudge out this liner that I just created. So I'm just gonna quickly go off camera and finish up my eye, apply mascara, eyeliner, lashes, and do my other eye, and then I'll come back and we can finish off the face. Alright, so the eyes are done. We can now move back onto the face. I'm taking my Physicians Formula Butter Collection times Whaley palette, and we are gonna use the F18 brush again. I'm gonna take this shade here, which is called Deep Bronzer. This bronzer is so pigmented. So applying this as bronzer, it doesn't feel prickly, and it's a nice way to just like quickly get your bronzer on because the brush is just so big. I wouldn't say it's going to be my brush to apply bronzer. I think for this brush I'll still use it as a powder brush. For blush, I'm using the F21. This is the angled cheek brush. I'm going for this look, I think I'll go with Apricot. This one here. I typically don't use angled brushes for blush, but I think it'll work. This one's a little bit dense. Maybe this would be better for bronzer. And what I am realizing is that there isn't a highlighting brush. So the other face brush in here is the F20, and the F20 is a rounded cheek brush. I think I would have liked this better for blush maybe, but it feels very dense, so I don't know. This is maybe for bronzer, this one for cheek perhaps, and then this one I'll just keep it as powder. I think that's how it's supposed to be. I don't know how I feel about this being a blush brush. This seems more like a foundation brush to me personally. I think you could definitely use the blending brush as a highlighting brush. That would work, but it already has eyeshadow product on it, so I'm just gonna have to go into a different brush for my highlighter, and I'm just gonna use my Real Techniques one. This is very affordable. Colourpop does have a highlighting brush. Let me find it. It's a little bit larger than the Real Techniques one. I don't know the name of it, but I'll write it in the corner here. Okay, I'll use this one since, you know, this is Colourpop brushes. And I'm gonna take the shade Golden Hour. I personally do like the Real Techniques brush more than I like this one, just because this one's a little bit larger, but I still use this one. Like if this one is still wet and I just washed it, I'll go in with this one. It still does the job, but I do prefer the Real Techniques one, but again, still does the job, so it's okay. I also like to contour my nose, and the three brushes that I haven't used yet aren't brushes for me to do that. So I'm also gonna have to go in with my own brush to contour my nose. I mean, I don't really do much to contour my nose. I probably could have used the E18 if I had another one of it. If I didn't use it, that would be okay to contour the nose, but it already has shadow on it. So I'm just taking my Fenty 230 blending brush. I've been using this one lately for my nose contour. I'm just going into my NYX highlight and contour palette, taking this shade here, and literally all I do is just like take this shadow and run it down the sides of my nose. Like I don't even know if it makes a difference or if it actually does make my nose look slimmer, but I just do it anyway. And obviously this Fenty brush is probably the price of this whole entire set. Maybe not the entire set, but probably like a good chunk of it. And lastly, I'm just going to apply some lip product. This is the Just a Tint Lip Crown in the shade Give Me Some More. I'm just gonna apply some to my lips. And then I like to take a lip brush. This one is the L1, and just take a bit of product on it and apply around the edges. Alright you guys, so this is the final Get Ready With Me look completed. I used most of the brushes. The only brushes that I didn't get to use was the F20, E17, and E21. I think for the two eye brushes that I didn't get to use, I probably will get my use out of them. I think just for this eye look, it just wasn't what I needed. I would say the three brushes that I really enjoyed out of this brush roll was definitely the E15, which is like the big fluffy blending brush. brush, and also L1, which is just a really nice lip brush. And then I also really liked E20. I think this one will come in so handy. It's so tiny. I just had a look on Colourpop's website. They don't actually sell these individually. Hopefully they will soon, so just in case if you don't want to get this entire brush set, you can just buy like individual brushes. But for the most part, using this brush roll, I was able to create a face that I typically would wear like going out in my day-to-day life. This is definitely an eye look, a face look that I usually use, and products that I usually use, nothing out of the ordinary for me. So I was able to create that within this brush roll. The only extra brushes that I did use were these three. So for my nose contour, I used the Fenty one, but like I said, I could have used the E18 instead to nose contour. That would have been fine. And then obviously I used a different Colourpop highlighting brush. I could have used the E15 to highlight, but this already had eyeshadow. So if I had like a double of it, then I obviously could have used it. If I didn't use it at all, then you still can make it work. I've only washed them once, since obviously this is my first time using them. I washed it before I put it on my face. I didn't see any shedding when you go like this. Nothing really comes out. So if you guys did enjoy this tutorial review first impressions, be sure to give the video a thumbs up for me. I would appreciate it so much if you guys did. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts on the brushes down below in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!